Welcome to Tech Insights, a channel where we explain how technology really works, from both a technical and political perspective, without simplifications. Here we talk about internet infrastructure, security, and decisions that have a real impact on everyday life. The main sponsor of this channel is Comet VPN. Today we're talking about a decision made by Malaysia, banning children under the age of 16 from using social media. It sounds radical, but at the same time surprisingly logical, especially as governments are facing growing psychological, social, and security problems caused by algorithm-driven content. The question isn't only whether this will protect children, but whether such a ban is even technologically possible, in a world where age online is usually just a checkbox in a registration form. This issue matters far beyond Malaysia. It's a test for the entire world. Do states still have the power to regulate global platforms, or has the internet already become a space where laws break down at the level of IP addresses and account settings? Before we go any further, ask yourself this. If your country introduced the same ban today, do you think it would actually work? Or would it only create the illusion that the problem has been solved? To understand whether such a ban can work at all, we need to clearly understand how social platforms determine user age today and what is actually happening at the technical level. Most platforms rely on self-declaration. During registration, you enter your date of birth, and the system accepts it as fact. There is no real verification except in very limited cases, such as paid services that involve a credit card. This means that age restriction today is more of a UI decision than a security mechanism. Technologically, the platform doesn't know who you are. It only sees an account, a device, an IP address, and behavioral patterns. If a state wants to enforce such a ban in practice, there are only a few options. The first is forcing platforms to implement identity verification using government documents or digital identity systems. This is technically possible, but it immediately raises privacy concerns. Should a social network have the right to store passport data? And who is responsible if that data leaks? The second option is enforcing the ban through internet service providers, blocking access at the network level. But here we're talking about filtering by domains, IP addresses, or SNI, all of which can be easily bypassed using a VPN or even a simple DNS change. The third option is behavioral analysis and AI, attempting to infer a user's age based on how they write, what they watch, and how they behave on the platform. This already exists, but it's inaccurate and produces a large number of false positives. In short, there is no simple, reliable, and privacy-preserving way to guarantee that users under 16 are truly kept off social media platforms. And this leads to the core point. This ban is not a technological solution. It's a political one, trying to solve a social problem using infrastructure that was never designed for that purpose. The internet is not built around age. It is built around access, and access always finds a way. This is where the gap between political intention and reality becomes obvious. In public discourse, such decisions are often framed as protecting children, while the real limitations and trade-offs are quietly ignored. One of the biggest myths is that the social network itself is the main source of harm. In reality, the damage usually comes not from the platform's existence, but from how its algorithms work. Constant attention capture, dopamine loops, content escalation, and a complete lack of transparency about why a specific piece of content is shown to a child. Another myth is that bans automatically reduce usage. In practice, the opposite often happens. When access is forbidden, it becomes more attractive. Children quickly learn how to bypass restrictions. Parents' phones, older friends' accounts, VPNs, alternative platforms, all of this already exists. The result is often that the child remains online, but now completely outside any adult supervision or educational framework. There's also another rarely discussed aspect: data concentration. If platforms are forced to verify age using official documents, we create an unprecedented dataset showing who connects to social networks, when, and from where. This is not only a privacy risk, but a security risk as well. One breach, one mistake, and the consequences can be long-term. Marketing narratives say this is for the children, but the technological reality says this is a new layer of control. Ultimately, such bans treat the symptom, not the cause. The platform business model remains the same. The algorithms remain the same. Transparency doesn't increase. The only thing that changes is that responsibility shifts away from technology creators and onto users and governments. It looks good in headlines, but it performs poorly in real networks. If we look at this pragmatically, without political declarations, the real path forward is not ban, but restoring control where it can actually work. The first layer is the family and the device. Operating systems already allow screen time limits, content restrictions, and app permissions. These tools are not perfect, but they operate at the point where the child actually accesses the internet, the phone or tablet. The problem is that these controls are often unused or left at default settings. The second layer is transparency and education. It's not enough to tell a child, "You can't." They need to understand how algorithms work, why one video leads to another, and how platforms attempt to capture attention. Paradoxically, digital literacy often works better than bans. Once the mechanism is understood, the user becomes less vulnerable, even at 14. The third layer is infrastructure and privacy. When we talk about network-level restrictions, the question becomes who controls the traffic and who can see the data. In public networks, schools, or shared Wi-Fi environments, there is often no clarity about monitoring or data collection. In these contexts, privacy and security tools are not bypass tools, but protection mechanisms. This is where solutions like Comet VPN naturally come in, not to hide activity, but to protect connections from third-party surveillance and data leakage. And most importantly, pressure must flow both ways. If governments want real change, they must demand algorithmic transparency, clear recommendation limits for minors, and accountability for design choices that intentionally encourage addiction. Without that, no bans will work. There will only be new rules that look good on paper but lose against how the internet actually functions. Thanks for watching. This was Tech Insights. If this topic matters to you, like the video, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next deep dive.